welcome to the Museum of Graffiti's Artist Talk live program. Really glad to have you. Again, you know, you're one of those guys in this culture, the train writing culture, that I think some people have somewhat forgotten about, and you've been around our crew and so many others that it's worth having this conversation with you. And so thank you for taking out the time. And I know Thailand's very far and it's very early, so it is appreciated. So as I normally do, PADE, I'm going to turn the camera around and just give myself the opportunity to, let me do this, to read a little bit about you to our friends who are joining us. Oh, 1 second, sorry about that. For those of us who are familiar with you, we know you pretty well, but I just want to read this out on behalf of your bio, so to speak. PADE was born in New York City, and he grew up in the gritty meatpacking district's neighborhood. And he was son of a painter who was exposed to many artists as a young kid and their works early in your life. So with art flowing in your veins, it was inevitable that you would be lured into activities to stimulate your creativity. Graffiti offered PADE the opportunity to do something different, to be original. So he went on to bomb subways in far-flung areas of New York, joining the infamous RTW, Rolling Thunder Riders, ROC, Rock On City, and Wow Crews. He painted with some of the most influential graffiti writers of the day, honing his wild style skills with the legendary Kel First, and equally becoming a prolific throw-up bomber with Min 1, Rich 2, Sego, Quick, Satch Is, to name a few. Today he lives in Thailand, where he continues painting as well as studying Tai Chi and playing drums, and then so much more. So I want to start at the beginning with you about your neighborhood, because you grew up in a rather special neighborhood for artists, you know, particularly before the Graph movement. But during the Graph movement, there was a lot of very interesting writers that were in your area. So let's talk about that, the early days of New York, and some of the writing, the graffiti, or the lifestyle around you.
Well, nobody lived in my neighborhood. You can see there's a little block of flats right there. I lived in the one in the middle. There were they're turn of the century buildings, and yeah, there weren't very many people. There were a few people living in the area, but mostly it was just the meat market, which ran from about 4 a.m., closed down in the late afternoon or early afternoon, and then it was kind of dead. And Saturday and Sunday, it was a ghost town. I used to look out my window and see tumbleweeds blowing down the street, literally from the High Line, because the High Line is just right down 1 block away. And yeah, the writers in the neighborhood, you know, Westbeth was nearby. There were a lot of writers in there. The Go Club was mainly the prolific graffiti crew in my area. And people like Team, Aztec, Inca, Q3, T-Boy, Me 62. These were kind of the names that you saw around the neighborhood.
Yeah, rest in peace to Me 62, Gibi, who passed recently. So this neighborhood was really, I remember as a kid, was such a sketchy neighborhood with prostitutes and drag queens and discos. There were a lot of clubs in that area. Before
that, though, there were homeless people living across the street from me, right under that overhang. And So there was always a string of like we called them bums at the time. They were, mostly alcoholics who would just get smashed and then sleep on the street. The earliest one I remember, I was, maybe 5 years old, and there was a old World War II vet named Pat, and he used to go to the Veterans Administration, come back all spiffed up with a new suit, and by like the evening, he was shit-faced drunk, filthy, laying in the gutter. He was a character, and he used to come up and like give me and my younger brother pennies, and my dad would like, he would be like, "Oh, that's a dirty penny," but I can't, disrespect the guy. But
So,
after that, there were a lot of groups of homeless guys that would like start a fire, and it was a bit menacing. It was a dangerous area. One of the derelicts ended up getting arrested. They caught him walking across that triangle at Gansevoort Street. He had a bag over his back with body parts from one of the other bums sticking out of the bag. So yeah, there was shit went down in that neighborhood. But after that, yeah, then it became like transvestite prostitution, and that brought a whole and crack and stuff. That was like that era.
so what
And
does a
then
kid do? What does a young Wayne do to keep himself busy and hanging out with his friends? What do you do
okay,
in that
well,
environment?
about a block away, there's a park, Horatio Street Park, where they had basketball and a softball field. And I spent a lot of time there. Every day after school, I'd go play basketball. In the summer, we'd play baseball or softball. And I also played street hockey over a few blocks away on Jane Street. We used to close the street down. We stole a police barricade, and we just like put it at the top of the street. So we had the street cordoned off, no traffic, and we just set up a couple goals, and we had roller skates. We'd play hockey. So mostly it was sports.
And where does art fit into your life as a kid? Where does your creativity come from? Where does that lead you into graffiti writing?
Well, as my dad was a painter, all his friends were artists also. So, and they all did different kinds of like abstract art. And I also went to a lot of the gallery shows in Soho. I remember like early on when my dad had shows. He had a show at OK Harris. I don't know. I don't know how old I was. Probably 8. But yeah, so I kind of saw a lot of art, and then
Do you
you
remember
know,
do you remember any of the artists that were around your dad at that time?
yeah, we had one of his really close friends was named Bill Haywood Rivers, and he was a black painter from South Carolina, and I really liked his art. He was like he did stuff based on quilt making that his mother did. That was like old sharecropper tradition. And so his paintings are really interesting. He didn't do very many, but he's pretty well respected. Another, I think most of the artists that my dad hung around with, they didn't attain fame, but they were like in that same area as Jasper Johns and all those people like that. My dad had a studio down on like I want to say Duane Street or Chambers Street, one or the other. But and so he was kind of like in that mix. But a lot of his friends, like really another one is Frances Hetherington. I really liked. She had really really good art. Yeah, I mean
And what did you
mostly
think
named.
about graffiti? Well, first of all, how did if you weren't following in his footsteps as a creative painter, how did you get into tagging your name and raptured by the graffiti movement?
Yeah, well, I wasn't really encouraged by my dad that much. I mean, from a young age, he gave me art supplies and stuff like that and encouraged me quite a bit. But then I started sort of doing like cartoonish type stuff. And my brother also, we had a friend whose father was a commercial artist. Uh, Man, I can't remember the name. Uh, but he did like a cover for of Nixon with Jiminy Cricket on his nose. Anyway, we kind of got influenced and started doing comic art. And my dad he didn't like that. He was like a fine artist. He like thought comics were crap. We read a lot of comic books too. We were into like Mad Magazine and Marvel and DC. You know, we were into that. My dad never really dug that stuff.
And so tell me about your first tags. Tell me about what really started you
Oh,
into writing. What year was that for you?
all right. Well, before I ever became a graffiti writer, like everybody in my class, like in their notebook, would tag. They'd never written on a train, never taken a tag on a wall, you know, but they wanted to like they saw graffiti, you know, it was noticeable. People, if you took the train, if you looked around the neighborhood, you saw this stuff. So I remember I was like, I'm gonna write Sly. So I used to tag Sly. That was like I was probably 10, 11, maybe fourth or fifth grade. And yeah, I was writing, you know, really crude toy tags. And then I kind of stopped doing it and, you know, didn't think about it again until um, ninth grade. After I graduated, went into high school. And then that was late 78. And then I met a writer from the village. He wrote a couple of things, but he was never he was a toy.
What high
But
school did you attend?
I went to United Nations International School, and but he went to IS 70. So there was like no writers in my school, but IS 70 was like that was where all the Go Club went. That was like there was a tradition of graffiti at IS 70. So anyway, I don't even remember I remember I came up with the tag Zeus, and that was the first tag I actually like tagged up on the streets illegally. And then I went through just like a string of names. And so, I mean, I remember I didn't even know what a piece was. My friend said something about, oh, something piece. And I was like, what's a piece? He was like, what? You write graffiti and you don't know what a piece is? But I was like, yo, you're my source for information. You gotta tell me what a piece is. But anyway, it was only a few months later, by the end of 78, that I was going to the double R tunnels and tagging up in Bay Ridge. And
At what point did you start writing PADE?
PADE I started writing in late 79. I think it was late 79, but 79. At first I wrote PADE2. Now I'm PADE1. But that's kind of an interesting story. I was writing PADE2 because I liked the number. I thought it looked cool. And Min was like, yo, why are you PADE2? You got to be PADE1. I was like, all right, I'm PADE1. So
I'm looking at this PADE piece from 1980s in a schoolyard. And this looks like the West Village to me. Is that correct?
yeah, on the other side of that wall is a baseball field. That's J.J. Walker Park, and that's we used to call it Leroy Street, but it was also called Carmine Street because it was between Leroy and Carmine. And there was like a public pool. If you like, I'm facing that wall. Behind my back is a handball court, and on the other side of that is a swimming pool. And then on the other side of this wall is a baseball field. And actually, Team and TAC had pieces on the wall on the baseball field, but nobody had any pieces on the handball court. So I don't have a picture of a Regal to the left, unfortunately. Regal did a smoking, like robot character and like, you know, really his classic Regal style letters. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of that.
Who are you learning this style from? Where are you picking up your lettering style, your painting style from?
You know, this is after I started hanging out with Regal and Bill Rock, and actually at this time we were like, you can see maybe there's a UND tag there, which is the underground. The underground was Michael Edmonds' crew, Fine, that's Fine SA, that's anyway, yeah. So we were part of the underground, and
You talking about Ali?
yeah, that's Ali's younger brother,
Yeah,
Fine.
younger brother, Fine.
Yeah. So yeah, we were like down with we were putting up UND, and that's I guess kind of where I got that style from. From just I don't even know. You know, I guess partly through. Yeah, I'm not sure. It just developed.
So excuse me.
Oh, wait 1 second. So can you go back to that picture? We painted that wall, and there was a Regal to the left of it, and we took photos, but you can see there's a shadow in front of it. So we went back the next day to take photos again, and the shit was painted over, and there were people playing handball on the court, and they saw us with the camera. They saw us like, you know, we were obviously like pretty unhappy about the paintings being gone, and the guy came over who was playing handball, and he's some kind of like city council or some neighborhood official guy, and he was like, you know, we're so sorry we had to paint over those. They were beautiful, but we were playing handball and you can't see the ball. And we, you know, he told me some guy that one of his friends got hit in the eye with the ball, which I don't believe, but yeah, so they painted over it, but he was really apologetic and invited us to come back and paint the facing wall, which was the other picture that you showed. And yeah, this was amazing because when we did this wall, it was the middle of the night with the lights are all on, and if police roll by, they're going to look down. They just have to look to the left, and they would have seen me and Rico painting. But you know, we were there for hours, no problem, no police rolled by. And then the next time we did it, it was we had permission, so we did it in broad daylight. But that was kind of messed up because there was all these like younger Go Club kids called the Neighborhood, and they were like you know, just pestering us the whole time. And we were trying to get money from the people that, you know, pay for our paint. But those neighborhood kids told them that that we steal all our paint.
Which is true.
Yeah, it's true.
So now, you know, when you, at this point, when you're, given that your dad was an artist, you find graph, were you thinking, maybe I'm an artist, maybe I'll go to art school, maybe there's a career in this for me?
No, I did it as sport. It was fun. It was challenging. You know, there was, you know, I'm not a large guy, so going to like some of these neighborhoods, it was sort of like a adrenaline rush. You know, there was a lot of danger involved. But, you know, I guess I liked that. I guess that's what I was after. I wasn't even thinking, I could barely think about like what I was doing next week, really. I was living in the here and now completely.
And so, of course, as a young kid, you're trying to find, you know, identity and friends, and you end up connecting with the RTW crew, with Bill Rock, but Bill Rock's from uptown. How did that happen? How did you guys?
Well, what happened? Yeah, what happened was the band shell in Central Park was like it was kind of like I don't know, it had a draw to it, you know. There was a scene there. People would go there and hang out, and there were like people they call parkies, really interesting people. And so I started going to Central Park. Also, you could buy weed from people there, and there was like a whole, you know, people were into music a lot, and frisbee and skateboards. And so, yeah, I started going to Central Park, and I'm not even sure. Oh, yeah, okay. I met this dude, this dude Dave, who wrote Kazar, and later on wrote Dave. And
Yeah, Zephyr mentioned him in our talk recently.
oh, he did. I didn't hear that part. So yeah, he ended up being a pretty whack dude. But at the time, I was friends with him, and we were doing insides on the double R's. I took him out to meet my boy Beat. Beat 79. He was a big Italian dude, a couple years older than me, and who went to my school. And we started doing insides out in Bay Ridge. And so I took Dave out there. We did insides, and then we started doing more, like really hitting the double R's. At that time, I wasn't writing PADE. Actually, I was writing. That time, I was like searching for a name. Before that, I had. Before that, or I may have, when I first met him, wrote Flam, Flam, and that's what I wrote when I met Regal. I remember that because I was thinking Flam is a whack name. But Regal, when I met him, was like, yo, that's a cool name, because a flam is like a rudiment in drums, and Regal's a drummer, and I was a drummer. So we hit it off. We became friends. But then I'm not sure exactly who I went to Bill Rock's house with first, if it was Dave or if it was Regal, but I ended up meeting Bill Rock, and I remember I wanted to be in RTW, and he asked me to like do a piece on paper and like just on the fly, and I remember I like did a PADE, and he was like, all right, yeah, you're down. And yeah, so then really, I wasn't hanging out at Bill Rock's house that much. I was mainly hanging out with Regal. And then Dave and I were doing insides in the one tunnel one day. And it was a weekend, probably a Sunday afternoon. And we were on the downtown side, and there's like 2 lanes of trains on the downtown side. And so we hear the sound. And we stop, stick our heads out to listen, and we hear the like, we're like, oh shit, somebody's painting. And then we started going towards the sound, and we could smell the paint. And it turned out it was Scene, Mad, his brother, and Easy, a dude named Screwy Louie. And these dudes were like from the Bronx, from Westchester Square area, and they looked like bikers, like especially Mad and Easy. They're like dressed like with MC boots and like, you know, the wallets with the chains and leather jackets, and yeah, they looked to me they looked intimidating. Like the dudes that I knew who dressed like that were like from the Go Club, like T-Boy and people like that. They were like, you know, people that I tended to stay away from. But we talked to them. They invited us to come up to the Bronx, and you know, I was a little worried. I was like, Dave's a black dude. You know, maybe this is like they're just trying to like set him up for something, and I'm going to be like caught up in it. But it ended up they were really friendly. They took us around their area. We went racking paint. And we ended up going to the 6 yard, and actually no, that's false. The first time I went with Scene was it was the winter. It was really cold, and we went to I think it's Brook. Is it Brook Avenue? No, that's on the double R. No, it's like Jackson Avenue or something. It's like on the 6th line in the tunnel. It's a winter layup. And we went there to piece, and I had no damn clue about how to piece. I had gone by myself up to the one tunnel once, and there were workers in there. So I took the train up to 242nd, walked to the yard, And by myself, I went into the yard to do a piece. And because that's how I just wanted the piece so badly, but I didn't know who to do it with. I didn't, that was actually before I started going with Regal. My timeline's a little bit fuzzy, but yeah, I know I went to the one yard, I started doing a piece, and all of a sudden in the middle of piecing, they pulled the train out. Like they left the car, there were like a couple cars to the left of me, and the piece I was painting on was like the last car up the train, and it pulled out. So I'm like, just like standing there in the open, like, and I moved over to another lane and did another piece, but it was toy. I never got a photo of it. And, but this other time,
what's interesting about that, if you allow me to interject, is that piecing takes time, and that means greater risk because you're standing still, focused on a painting, and it is a riskier endeavor. There's a high reward, obviously. If you get over, you get a wonderful burner and you get a reputation. But there's a reason why writers turn to throw-ups, right? Because you can just do very quick throw-ups and do a lot of them and keep it moving and not worry about, maybe losing a fill-in without an outline. You decided to write PD at one point, and I want to focus at what people should know about you too. You are a prolific bomber with throw-ups, and you wrote with with Satch, with Min, with Hayes. Tell me about that transition of just deciding I need to throw up and I'm going to go off with throw ups.
Well, all right. You know what happened early on in the graffiti era? You could pretty much your pieces would run, and it got to the point where you did a piece and then there'd be a throw up over it before you got photos, and we just got to the point where we're like, this is going to be war. It's not about it's kind of ruined. You can't do pieces anymore. You have to so we transitioned to the next thing. I mean, insides, writers always start with insides. Insides are fun. So I transitioned to pieces, and that was like a whole other thing. I really enjoyed piecing the most. I mean, I actually wish the throw-up war would never have happened. I would have really preferred to hone my skill and do some big productions.
Tell us about the throw-up war, and what and I presume you're talking about that era with Cap and some of the Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten enough fame. I don't even need to talk about him. But there were whack people that thought they could just come and do a throw up over your piece. And I mean, yeah, it started. I guess it really started with Shy. I'm not, I don't know all the details of that war, but I just know that me and Min were going to New Lots Avenue, and we were going over every MPC that we could find, because we were going over pretty much anybody, but if we saw like a Cap or a PJ, it was.
So
yeah,
we're looking at a page. You obviously went over somebody's piece, but notably, and may he rest in peace, Mike, you see a Is the Wiz piece on the right. Tell me about some of these partners that you painted with, and what were they like as bombers alongside of you, people like Min and Is and others?
Well, this actually is I believe it's a one train. It may be a 2.5, but I think it's a one train. There's some NE throw ups on the left, and we weren't with Is that night. That was just there. So, and it looks like I went over quick, but if you look carefully, somebody was over quick already. So, but it was dark.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
So tell me about Min. Of course, one of the more prolific writers of his generation, and great throw-up writer. There's an aesthetic that ran through the throw-ups of RTW. that it was quite unique, right? Very clean, bubbly, uh, and a hand style that we all
Well,
had.
the throw-ups, we all admired the crew and Jester in particular because he was up everywhere. So we liked the kind of bubbly, like you know, bubbly style, and yeah.
And
A little bit later, Min and I started doing like little quick pieces, throw-up style, and there's a picture of one
yeah,
that's
we have that. I
a
also
Min
tell me
Min
about this.
page.
That one of the things that you guys were doing as well were you were writing statements in your throw ups. You know, you saw fresh here. We see fresh kids, and he's like true legend of MTA, and he, sometimes write no sun and on and on.
Yeah,
Um,
he was always coming up with some coming up with those ideas. That's got a tradition in graffiti, like, uh, people wrote, little catchphrases next to their tags, little messages. Uh, I mean, even Voice of the Ghetto, that's kind of like a message because
sure,
his
sure.
tag is stay home.
Notably Flint, right?
Yeah, Flint 707. Yeah, Flint,
Yeah.
Flint. Yeah, what was his, I
Oh,
mean, that's the first one that came to my mind, but he had messages all the time. They were like really sort of like made you think. And of course, later, well, it's not really Graph, but Basquiat, Samo,
Samo and Al Diaz.
and Al
Uh,
Diaz. Yeah.
so again, I have to mention this because we're looking at a paid and any quick and a PD throw up. You guys were really prolific when it came to the throw up game on the all city really.
Yeah, we would go in with a lot of paint. We would go down the line doing fill-ins, go back down the line outlining them all. We would do, I don't know, I didn't count, but a lot of nights 100 throw-ups, and we'd hit every car both sides.
What was your motivation though? What tell
It
people
was
what's the
fun.
motivation?
Man, it was a sport. It was fun. All right. For example, this was done at this train was done in Grant Layup. Just going to Grant Layup is like a secret agent adventure. We would go either on the train, or if we were with Quick, we would go in his car, his Cordoba, and we would park on the street. And the way you would get into, there were many ways to get in, but one of the ways to get into Grant Layup was there was there was an elevated coming down, and then it would go into the tunnel. When you're riding in the train and you see the little arch, and you go in, and then you're in the tunnel. We would be on the street. There was a little parking lot, and then I don't even remember, probably a hole in the fence of the parking lot. And then you would climb up under the tracks, come up from under the tracks, and then you would run down the tracks, and they were literally going like on an incline down. And in front of you, you'd see all of these little like portals. And one set of tracks went to the station. Another set of tracks went down and went under the station. So we would go down that track, and you go down that track, and there's a lot of areas where there's no clearance. You have to haul ass through those areas, because that track actually goes to the Pitkin yard, and you're going toward the yard, and then all of a sudden, if somebody didn't point it out to you, you'd walk right by it. But if you know where it is, there's a little ladder on the right-hand side, and you climb down that ladder, and as soon as you get through the opening, you're up near the ceiling, up near the upper part of a layup, and you look down, there are trains down there, and I don't know how tall that ladder is. It seemed like it was like 40, 50 feet tall, but it was, pretty scary actually going down that with carrying a bag of paint. It was probably a good idea to wear a backpack going to Grant, but I'd always have like a shopping bag full of paint. And so, yeah, it was a little bit scary. You go down there, and then there's 4 lanes of trains, and you could just just kill shit. So anyway, yeah, that was a total adventure. Oh, and there's ladders everywhere. It looks like Super Mario Brothers in there. It's like
So obviously
unbelievable.
it's dangerous, and again, you know, one of the things that has to be pointed out is the danger involved, and it's really kind of life or death down there, because you can get hurt, you can get electrocuted, you can get beat up and even killed and not be found for days.
Yeah, the neighborhood was really bad. It's in East New York. It was a rough area, and sure, yeah. I mean, I've had like definitely some nights where when I got home, I was like, damn, I like just scraped by. Oh, this piece is the piece I did with scene in the Jackson Avenue tunnel. You can see down at the bottom, I wrote Wild Wayne, United Artists. And yeah, that's a PADE2. It was so dark, so cold. The paint was frozen. You can see the black is like spritzing, and I couldn't see anything. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I couldn't even read my outline. I remember just like getting totally lost. You can see like the E. I didn't outline it properly. I mean, it's like, but as a whole, it kind of has a lot of elements that were like from really early graffiti. So anyway, that was my next piece. Yeah, my next piece progressed a lot. I have to admit, scene, kind of helped me and showed me by watching, this piece.
So let me ask you something. Why didn't you stick with his crew? Why did you go from UA to RTW, right?
Well, all right.
And here we see Shy, Min, and Duro in the layup.
So what happened was, I mean, nothing happened, but it was just really far. I mean, for me to go up to the Bronx, that was like an hour on the train, and you had to go through a lot of sketchy neighborhoods, and yeah, it was just too far, and and I just didn't have great communication with Scene, I guess.
But if that was far, Wayne, like you would go, for instance, this picture that Henry took of us in New Lots, and New Lots Avenue Yard is pretty far.
Yeah, but we went in Henry's car.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And what we would do, I got a moped at one point, and I guess that was like, in '82. I got a moped, and me and Min would like ride that moped all over the city. We used to like go up to the AA yard, which is 175th Street on the west side of Manhattan, and go late at night. It was a little dangerous. I didn't have any registration. I didn't have a plate. I didn't have a license for the moped. So like if the cops tried to pull me over, I would just run. I would just take off on the moped, go down one-way street, whatever. And but late at night, you couldn't really do that. So we used to take the FDR drive, and this thing that only did 30 miles an hour. The speed limit on there is 40, and the cars are doing 50. So it was a little bit, dangerous to do that. But there was very little traffic at the time we would go up. We'd go up like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and you get up to 175th Street. We just park right outside there was an exit hatch. We just park the moped, lift the exit hatch, go down, and we're like right there, trains right in front of us. And we went to the AA yard a lot. We killed that place. And that was another place that was sort of like, that was the easy way in. There was also an easy way in like that to Grant through the exit hatch. But the other way to get into the AA yard was you would go to 175th Street, you'd walk through the tunnel, and then you come to like a little doorway. You go through that doorway and you'd like go down, up. There was a bunch of stairways, all completely bombed with old graffiti. And then you'd come out and there was like a little platform there. Sometimes there'd be a train and you could do top to bottoms there, or floaters. And if not, you just walk down, and then there was like, I forget how many trains they can park down there. About, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. They have like anyway, yeah. So that was like also kind of an really adventurous way to get into the art. Oh,
It's interesting. Go ahead.
I wanted to tell you one story about the last time that I went up to the 6-yard and painted with scene. It was a weeknight. I went up there, met his crew next to the hole in the fence, and there was a lot of writers in the yard that night. And scene started setting up to paint, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go and do a couple insides first. I had markers, so I started doing insides. Next thing I know, there's like lights, like huge lights go on. And then I look, and there's a train pulling in with huge spotlights lighting up everything. I mean, the 6-yard looks like a concentration camp. It's got these huge towers with huge lights, and they were blowing the horn on the train. And I looked, and there were dudes with sticks coming down every row. So I jumped out of the train. I looked for Scene. I didn't see him. I was like, oh shit, I'm alone here. I got to figure out what to do. So I went under the train, crossed over. First I went to the hole, and there was a police car at the hole. And that was the only way I'd ever been in and out of the yard. I didn't know what to do. So I ran back. I went under the train a few times. I saw men going by, banging sticks under the train. And I just went over towards the other side of the yard where there was, and there's really no way to climb over because they got razor ribbon, concertina wire. I went over, and there's like a little building, and I figured I'm gonna have to try to climb over and avoid the concertina wire. And there was another dude there, really small black dude, and so we both climb over the fence. Neither one of us get cut by the razor ribbon, and we walk down the street. When we get to the corner, and we're both carrying big bags of paint, we get to the corner, look down, and a police car that was in the parking lot where the hole was had just pulled out and done like a little turn and was facing right at us. And they saw us they're facing this way and we're walking this way. And we look down there and they see us, and the lights go on and they start coming towards us. So we both just dip towards the Westchester Square station. We climb up. We go up to the jump turnstile, go up to the platform, and there's a stairway. I'm on one stairway, he's on the other stairway. We're looking down, and we hear this jingling of keys and shit. And then I can hear the exit door open and slam shut, and I look down, I'm looking right down on the police officer's head, and he's walking up the stairs. So I'm seconds, he's going to be on the platform in 3 seconds. So we jump down onto the tracks. Now this is a little bit crazy. That was a little bit scary because the tracks at Westchester Square, I don't know, 3 stories up. It's a really tall station. And, between the railroad ties, it's just air. You can just fall right down. So somehow we jumped down onto the tracks, and you can't run because you're walking on railroad ties. And so we're going down the tracks, and the cop's on the platform, walking slowly next to us, looking down on us. He's not going to jump in the tracks. And he's telling us, stop, come here, and we're just just ignoring him. So we walk all the way to the end of the station, and there's a layup there. So we go to the layup, we cross over to the other side. As soon as we cross over to the other side, there's a train coming from the other direction. So we climb under the tracks. There's a big girder there. So our feet are on the girder, and we're arms around the railroad tie, and the train's going overhead. That shit was fucking scary, shaking. And then we climbed down the pole, and I was basically following this little dude. he knew what he was doing. And I asked him what he wrote. He was like, LK.
Oh,
So
little Corrado.
yeah, man, that dude like saved my ass that night. He saved me from getting busted. Yep.
Great. Thank you for sharing that story. So we're looking at a beautiful paid piece. It's a train you did by yourself.
This
Um,
was there was a shock min on the car to the left, and I this was the first piece I think I the first time I went piecing with your brother, and I think that they already had it planned out that they wanted to do a shock min, and I think that they didn't want probably Kel didn't want to take a risk of he didn't know what I could do, so and Shy was there that night also. I think this might be the night we did a car and it pulled out before we finished, and then Kel and Shy had like kind of an argument in Spanish. I didn't know what they were saying, but I was like it was kind of heated. Shy was upset, and Shy ended up like leaving, and I found out later that Shy went up to the token booth and told them, "Yo, there's people piecing down the tunnel." And,
no way.
and the token clerk didn't believe him. But yeah, so I did that car by myself. That was all really nice paint. That's a Cascade green outline. There's Fed purple in there. There's like some lavender, which is like a little mini can, speedy color, Rust-Oleum. But yeah, these were all like the old good Rust-Oleum. And I did that character. I mean, you can see I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even piece on the panel. I pieced like part way onto the door. That's kind of, I wouldn't make that mistake now. But yeah, the character, I just basically, I had drawn that on paper, and I just did that. Oh, the outline was Kel's outline. Kel did
I was gonna say, it was just gonna segue into the kind of impact Kel had on you when it came to the style, because at that point, he was kind of giving all of us outlines. And particularly when you guys went out and did productions, he was working.
Yeah, he did all the ones on all the cars that we did.
Yeah, this one's a rich paid min hush.
Yeah,
this is on the double R line, correct?
Yeah, that's City Hall.
So let's talk about City Hall, because you guys, I painted with you guys there a bunch, but you guys went there a lot without me. Tell us about City Hall being this unique layup, this train layup, where it's literally below City Hall. All the federal buildings, central booking is upstairs. It is like ground zero for like it was just hot. It was just like,
it was hot. That's the thing. People were really afraid to go there. I didn't even know about it. If I knew that there were some wintertime layups on the double R's that they laid up in Midtown, but like I basically thought I had to go up to the Bronx or out to Brooklyn or way out to Queens to find places to write. And later learned that there was the bridge, which was like right there on Canal Street, and there was, you could hit in the daytime in the week. And then there was City Hall, which was like so close to my house. We would ride bicycles down to City Hall, lock them up, go. Again, you could either go in through the exit hatch or go in through the Canal Street tunnel, or early on, we would just go to the City Hall station. And the layup has a platform that's below the station. So there was actually stairs going right down there was no lock. I think there was a chain going across. Yeah, there was a chain going across with a little sign, "Do not enter." But the thing was that there was a control tower, like just maybe 30 feet away from it, facing that stairway. So there were men looking out the window there. So that was a little bit sketchy, but we would just go and run right down the stairs, right off the platform, and we were in the layup. I mean, that was like the easiest way to get in.
Right.
And then
You guys were really cavalier about that layup and really kind of owned it. I mean, it was just no one would want to go down there because it was like RTW, TNS, and rock.
Well, Min used to get a little bit crazy. He'd get on the PA system when we got to the layup, "RTW in the house," and I remember one time he did that in Grant layup, and a voice of a conductor came back and said, "Who's there?" But one time when we did a top to bottoms down there, he was throwing cans around, throwing empties, just like making a ton of noise. And it was Sunday afternoon, and the platform's right upstairs. And I'm like, "Yo, Min, chill out." He's like, "Yo, this is my house." So, there was the idea that that was our spot and we could do whatever we want there. He ended up getting in a big raid there with Bo, and ended up getting caught, and Bo got away. And but he went out the exit hatch and they grabbed him, and Bo slammed the exit hatch shut. And Min called me from the tombs, and he's like, "Yo, Pade, your bicycle's locked up on Canal Street, and I got the key, but I can't get it to you." So I was like, "Oh man," it was my brother's bike actually. So I had to go down to Canal Street, and it was on Canal and Broadway, I think. And it was locked to a pole. I brought vice grips. I climbed up to the top of the pole and took the sign off. And this is middle of the day, thousands of people were walking by. And I took the sign off the top. And then I had my bicycle there. Somehow I ended up oh, he didn't lock the front wheel. It was just the frame. So I lifted the bike up, got it over the top of the sign, and rode home with it, riding my bike and holding the other bike. And right when I got up next to my house near the 6th precinct, a car of detectives rolled up, and they're started hassling me, and they thought I just stole the bike. And I just told them the whole story. I was like, "Yeah, my friend locked it up and he has the key." There was another time we locked our bikes up down. We used to hang out with TNS, with EL3 and his crew, and down on Henry Street, and we locked our bike up and took the train uptown and went to the AA yard and came back, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the morning, and our bikes were gone. And we're like, "What the fuck?" And so we ended up having to take the trains home from there. And we went back the next day, and EL and a bunch of his friends had chased off a bunch of crackheads that were trying to break our locks. And they took the sign off the top, lifted our bikes over, and lifted them up into the abandoned building that they had we called the Crib. Because that was
I remember that building.
That was the TNS headquarters. And so we were I was overjoyed. I couldn't believe these dudes looked out like that, man. They were true. EL was a true brother, man. He was really good dude.
May he rest in peace. Well, you guys were, it's one of the things that's interesting if we look at these pieces of this period is style, right? How Randy Kell, he kind of went back to kind of a 70s kind of thing, writing a tag and then outlining it. And it was really interesting to see this. At first, I wasn't a big fan of it, but then I started to appreciate it. But in retrospect, he was experimenting a lot with you guys.
This is the thing. Well, okay, as far as the tag style goes, it's a really great way to like create letters. It really frees you up to. Sometimes I get like a big marker and like sort of do the tag and then fatten up different parts of it in order to make letters. So I still use the tag method of creating a piece. But at first, I couldn't really. You can see from the early pieces I did with Kel that they weren't really that on. Some of them like had. I don't think they were my best work. I think some of the stuff I did, when I was piecing alone, in some ways was better in a way. But like by the time we got to that rich PADE min hush, that PADE is badass. I figured out how to do.
Go back to that.
Yeah, I figured out like, oh, that PADE is whack. See, that one I didn't really min rush a PADE, especially the E. It's got too much of the tag style. I didn't fatten it up enough. It's just too stiff. It doesn't have any flow to it.
Whereas the Russia, you see how Kel's almost like a
he knows what. He's got the idea of what to do with the tag style, and I figured it out later. So, but the thing about it wasn't just the tag style. It was that he had like this confidence, extreme confidence, that he could just paint whatever came to his mind at the time. We didn't go in there with like drawings of those characters. Those things came out of his mind on the spot, and some of them, there's a couple of them that are like so bizarre that like there's like one like creature that looks like it's like got some kind of like weird, it's like a mutant dragon thing or something. I don't know what he was thinking. And then there's another one with like, this car has like some like Barney Rubble looking characters, but the two that he did on the ends, those like those are outstanding. Oh, these characters were from a porno magazine that had like these S&M Nazi SS bitches. I was especially that one, Kel rocked, man. That one came off so good. I love that shit. The chick with the leather garter belt. I'm like, oh man, that's bomb. But you see the scene. This is like, I love this train. It's like a train on acid. The whole thing is melting. He like painted. He incorporated the windows and the doors. And then he has like these spaceships, these like Star Wars type spaceships and that stuff just came out of his head. And this little character on the right that almost looks like a little mare.
Yeah, that's, again, to me, I look at that and I see Knock. Because he loved Knock's characters.
Totally.
And his style.
But the thing that the thing that Kel didn't have to worry about was colors. That's one of the things that Kel was a master of, is like any color can be the outline, and you can do like avocado green outline, and that shit. It's just you get tired of seeing black and red outlines all the time, and there are other people that have done different colors. I remember there was like a really incredible Opel top to bottom. The Opel had like a cascade green outline that was fucking bomb. But we started doing like the colors, the color combinations. He was a master at already.
But also, you guys you were doing something really interesting as well. You're doing these silver top to bottoms, and they were stylized top to bottoms, but with color.
Yes, I wish I'd done more of them. This has some great tags on the left. It's only half of the roster, but on the photo to the left, this one, you're tagged up there too.
Yeah.
It's got, let's see, damn, I can't read it. Shock.
It's Mare 139, Shock, Shy, Bo, EL3. So,
and then to the left of that, there's a whole other one. Min also did that.
About putting up the crew, and of course he had just wonderful hand style. I think the hand style in the crew was really, really important. I never had quite the hand style. Kel never.
I'm not a hand style master. I mean, sometimes I come off with some pretty good letters, but like yeah, that was, you know, the early people like Strike, Zephyr, Rasta had wild style. I like Bill's style. Bill had like really cool hand style. Just all those early RTW dudes had great style. Like dudes like Dark Star and shit like that. You know, Sauron. All these dudes like had tag style.
Here we see Bill Rock, Min, and Kel
Yeah,
inside City Hall in front of
yeah.
the train.
I miss. I couldn't go that day. You know, Min was like, "Yo, Paid, come. We're doing a photo shoot with Henry." And it was like a Sunday afternoon, and I couldn't make it. I had like some family obligation, and so Bill Rock ended up going, and they got some epic pictures. I'm really happy they got a picture in front of.
Yeah, let's go back to that. There's one with you. Where did it go? I had it.
There's a bunch of pictures of them in front of that PADE that are like have gotten a lot of view.
And
Yeah,
these productions
this
were
production.
amazing.
Yeah, this production. I don't know if you have the other picture. There's a picture like from the platform that shows this was 4 whole cars. You were there that night. That was it was there was the Kelman Carl. This is the Worth Delt Paid. Then there was another one with Mayor and Bike, and I don't remember the third piece. And I don't have pictures. I don't know what happened to my pictures of the other pieces, but I have the bike piece.
I unfortunately, we have a picture of the bike piece, but I don't have a picture of the mare, and I don't think I ever saw it running.
Yeah, and I don't remember who was the other person on that car with us, because everybody did 2 pieces that night. And
I wonder if my cousin C Rock was there with us, and he.
Yeah, he was. He was there.
I did a Carl with the K with grays and a red outline. But what's interesting, right? You say about colors, right? This was such a shift in the way some of the trains were being painted.
Yo, look at the colors on both the Worth and the Delt. That Worth, I think, the Delt is some kind of bizarre new Krylon color that they came out with at the time. It was like some kind of burgundy or something, and there was like Chippewas and all of these like they came out with like colors that they didn't have before. So we were like, oh, we'll take that. And that's like looks like jungle green, aqua turquoise. There's that Phyllis Diller looking character like smoking a joint that with the big long nose. That's straight out of the mind of Kel, like stoned as hell. But yeah, I love it.
What was interesting at this period, this is when he worked at Pearl Paint.
I think this is before. This is before that.
So that was, that period.
This is when he was working for the printer, I think. And man, we had like he used to give us stacks of Popeye's fried chicken vouchers for like $5, and man, we would be like going to like every Popeye's fried chicken in town. I think Min that was Min's diet for a while.
Yeah. So this is the photograph you were mentioning with all the trains at that night. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's the bike on the next car, and then something, and then your I think it was a mare, but you maybe was Carl. So yeah, that night was amazing. We were against the wall. We were on the like downtown side of City Hall, painting against the wall, which was kind of weird. We usually painted sort of more out in open areas, but it was fairly safe back there. Safer. Yeah, this picture, the other picture you can't see, but in this picture you can see all the colors in there. You can see the white and the red and the blue. It wasn't just a silver top to bottom. The other photo doesn't capture the white highlights at all, or the shininess of it. You could see the silver. So I don't know who took this photo. This isn't one of mine, but yeah, it's cool.
So the style, no longer it was about just doing a throw up top to bottom. It's about having a little style.
Yeah. This was in City Hall. I'm pretty sure this night SE3 was there, and I did like probably 3 of these top to bottoms that night. I didn't get pictures of any of the other ones. And again, it's just like trying to make slightly more. I wish I would have like sort of gone more on along these lines. Improvising. Sort of stylish letters. Yeah, like this. And I remember when your brother saw these running, he was like, he thought they were really cool.
Yeah, because he and Kaz and Shy, they used to make these little pieces with leftover paint. They would make like nice little semi-styles, we would call them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what this is. This is like a semi-style. And that night we were doing throw-ups. This was in the one tunnel. And this was a time, man, when, this was before Min, like, sort of got taller. We were both small. I mean, I was bigger than him at that time. And so we were like two little white boys going up and like doing throw-ups and just like going over people in the one tunnel. And it was like, it was crazy shit. The one thing that, I heard your interview with Kaz, and he talked about the time that the Wallbusters raided the Vamp Squad, and yeah, I was there that night, and I was gonna paint on a car with Kaz. We were like riding up. You want to hear this story, or?
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah, he's on with us.
So yeah, we were riding uptown. Actually, the night started before we met up with Kaz. I was with Bill Rock, Shock, Rin, a whole bunch of dudes from Boozer, Sick, a whole bunch of dudes from Staten Island, the Vamp Squad. And we got to the 145th Street, and I don't know, somebody said Baby Rock is across the tracks on the other side, and I think Shock told me and Boozer to go over to the other side. And so I was like, okay. We went over to the other side, and apparently there'd been like a fight between Sick and Baby Rock. And I guess Sick, I think he like snatched Baby Rock's gold chain. And so we went back across the tracks, and we decided we better leave the area for a little while. We went uptown. We went up to like that station with like the crosswalk across the top. Anyway, we went uptown, 168th Street maybe, and I think Rin said, "Oh yeah, those Wallbusters, they're all sleeping right now. Don't worry about it. We can go back." So we went back. We also and on the train we met Kaz. Kaz was like on his way home, and we're like, "Yo, you want to go bombing?" And Rin and Shock asked him, "Yeah." So we get into the one tunnel. We're on the downtown side. We're already starting to paint. I think it was Kaz, Bill Rock, PADE. And we were at the end, and all the other dudes were on the next cars to the left. And I just hear like a couple of big boom sounds, bang, and I hear Shock saying "haul ass," and I didn't know what it was. I thought, I figured it was the Wallbusters, but I didn't know. Anyway, when Shock says "haul ass," it's probably a good idea. Listen to Shock. So. Next thing I know, I'm like on the 137th Street station, jumped up on the platform, and I just followed T-Kid and Zone. And we get out into the street, and from there on, I didn't know what happened. And, then later on I found out Bill Rock ended up getting confronted in the street. And they hit him in the arm with a pipe, and I guess he was near a firehouse, and the firemen came out with pikes, and they ended up saving his ass. But unfortunately, Kaz got stomped. I think that Boozer also. So yeah, probably we should have all stayed there. And but anyway. That was a fucked up night. And
Crazy
that,
times.
yeah, and so for me to go back there with Min, like just the two of us, is pretty crazy.
So, given that you have all this experience, there's a point where you decide you're going to go to school and you drop out of sight. And
Well, I dropped out of sight and then I came back. I went to Florida in, well, after I graduated high school, uh, I did not go to right into college. I was working as a messenger. You know, messenger was like bicycle messenger was like that was the occupation for graffiti artists. When I first
yeah,
started writing graffiti, like all of the dudes in RTW at one time were bicycle messengers. You could make like $300 a week if you hustled your ass and worked for a good company. And our boy Huey 167, he was like the king of messengers in New York. That dude made so much money, and he was like, yeah, he was like the messenger king. And so, yeah, I did that. Actually, I got Min a job working at the same place. Min was like, "Yo, get me a job." I was like, "Yo, I don't have to get you one. You can just go in there and get a job." He's like, "No, you got to like recommend me." So I'm like, and tell them that I'm your cousin. So I'm like, oh man. I'm like, yeah, you got a job for my cousin? And they're like, "What's his name?" I'm like, "Wayne." He's like, "Ah, yeah, two Waynes. Get the fuck out of here." But anyway, he ended up getting a job at it was Good Rush Messengers also. So on and off, we did that for money, and so yeah, I didn't feel the need to like I didn't want to go to school. I was sick of school, and but that year, like 1980, late 82, 83, that was when we did all those cars. So then yeah, then I went off to school in Florida in I guess it was 84. Is that right? Anyway, at that time, I think that's when Min, Rich, Bo, uh, I guess Trike, a lot of other people like started like really.
Sago. That's when I connected with Wild Crew out in the
Well, we connected. We
before.
connected before that. Yeah, before I went to Florida, I was already down with Wow Crew. That was an interesting story. That started off with a beef. Seiko and Bo were going over me and Min, or we were going over them. I don't know who started it. Most likely Min, but yeah, we had beef, and then Sego and Min met, and they squashed the beef, and then they invited us to come out to their the projects out where they live in Coney Island, next
Yeah,
to the Dewey Yard.
Marlboro. Yeah,
Marlboro Projects. Yo, that was
hard. That was a hardcore community.
yeah, and that day that Min and I went there, that was like another time similar to, anytime you go into like somebody else's neighborhood, people you don't know that well, there's an element of, caution.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they were cool with us, and we ended up becoming boys, and I think that day we went to the Dewey Yard.
So if we fast forward a little bit, you end up in Thailand, and you stay in Thailand.
Yeah.
Why Thailand?
Well, I was in California for a long time, and that's where I moved in 1989. And then in I guess it was about 2003, I came over to Thailand for for a vacation, and I traveled all around Southeast Asia for I think 6 months, and then I started every year coming back here, and of course I met my wife, and that was kind of just and eventually, yeah. Now I'm here all the time, and I try to go back to the States at least once a year. So
And
yeah,
you had mentioned to me that you became a teacher, an educator.
yeah. In California, I worked as a Montessori teacher. I did a Montessori training, and I worked at a school in Orange County, California, and I taught a lot of stuff. I taught, well, my own class was first and second grade, so yeah, little ones. Rich is a first grade or kindergarten teacher now.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And yeah, that was a great experience. You know, you have to like you know, being around kids all the time actually like really, I don't know how to say it, but it without being corny, but it nurtures your spirit. You know, it makes you happy. It makes you appreciate yourself and appreciate kids. You know, so yeah, that was great.
Perhaps if I can interject, perhaps it makes you appreciate the kid in you, right? Because while there, you keep coming back. While through your time, you keep coming back to your graffiti. It seems.
Yeah, it helps you understand yourself. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, well, I've always been like that. Like I get into something really heavy, and then I get into something else, and I sort of leave that other thing behind, and then I go back to it. And so right now, I'm trying to like do the things that I really like, which is doing artwork, doing martial arts, and playing the drums, and well, then all the other little enjoyments. But those are sort of like the things that I try to like improve myself on.
How has Thailand changed you as a person?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's a lot different here. The people are, you know, this is a Buddhist country, so there's sort of it's really chill here. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's like it's a different place. It's very hot here. It's the big problem. Right now, it's okay, but it's starting to get hot.
Do you paint out there? Do you?
Yeah. Well,
you tapped into the graffiti community there?
Yeah, there's one. There are some graffiti writers local. I don't do illegal graffiti here. I could probably get away with it. I could probably just, you know, bribe the police to get away with it. But I just feel like, you know, if I've done legal walls here, and I know some of the graffiti writers in town. There's one guy from Australia who's kind of he's the king of the area.
What does he write?
POAS, Pose, and he's a cool guy. But I pretty much, and the place I lived at before had an alleyway out front. Oh yeah, I should mention this. Through Facebook, I met Andy Dolan, who writes Pure TFP, and he was coming out to Thailand for a vacation. So, yeah, I invited him to come and stay with me. And there was an alleyway. I lived on an alleyway with walls that we had permission to paint. So when he came out here, we did a bunch of paintings, and it was the first time I painted for. I mean, I painted the one painting at the Is the Wiz Memorial near the Fun Factory, and that was the first time I painted in a really long time. I think the first time I'd ever used like decent paint. So, but then in Thailand, we didn't have Montana. We have this auto paint. It's called Leland, and it comes in a lot of different colors, and some of the colors are really good quality, but it's high pressure, a lot of overspray, and I don't have any fat caps or anything. So all the pieces that you see that I've done with Pure in Thailand, those are all like drippy stock caps, and it was interesting watching him. He had to sort of learn how to paint again because he's so used to using the low pressure paint that he had to like figure out, you got to move the can a little bit further back. You can't paint like you can't get straight up next to it. But yeah, we did a whole bunch of walls. It was a lot of fun. And then since then, every time I go back to New York, I try to do at least one wall with Andy. Last couple times, well, the last time Ven was in town also, so and I guess that was the second time that I pieced with Ven. We did two walls, one in Brooklyn and one in Jersey City. So yeah, that and I also did Hackensack. So I've been like around some of the spots in New York.
It's good to see that you remain active and again still connected to the community. And again, given the great distance you're at, you stand to be a good ambassador, because of your history, your story, your affiliation with some of the best painters of the generation that you're part of. I could only imagine, as you spend more time there and continue to paint there, the kind of legacy and influence you will leave behind. And again, if you start sharing stories as you do here on the platform, it again, there's something quite special about that and this kind of natural ambassadorship that you have through your art and through your experience.
Oh, this is that picture right there. That's a drawing. I've had like so many dreams of Grant Layup, and this is Grant Layup with like a little cutaway, so you can see. But you can see you would enter from the right, walk down those tracks, and there's that ladder I was talking about. And you walk down the ladder, and you're into like this big garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, meant to that layup. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you see this picture, you know right away what layup it is.
So again, it's as we wrap up, one of the things that keeps coming back in to me through your work is that you really didn't grow out of this. This culture, this art, and these people are still very much close to your chest.
Yeah, well, I enjoy it. It's I mean, I've seen a lot of people sort of like a lot of artists, and I understand they move on and do something completely different, but I love graffiti. I love the stuff that I was doing back then, and I wish I could go back with I'm improved now. I wish I could go back and do it all over again with the skill that I have now, but I was a kid.
Yeah,
but yeah,
there's no time machine. But again, a part of the importance of, like I said, what you've already done is that you don't have to go back. Somebody else is going to go back, standing on your shoulders, right? Because that's how this culture is. It's just everybody stands on each other's shoulders, and.
Well, I want people not to forget that the shoulders exist, and I appreciate what you're doing, getting interviews with people that are like, were important in, to the movement, to graffiti, and yeah, keep up the good work. I'm glad I could contribute. We could go on for hours and hours. So, if you want, we could do another one.
See, the thing is that I think, and Alan and I agree on this, is that, we all have the opportunity and the tools now to tell our stories and to write our stories, to publish our stories. I think we have to, take that opportunity. But if you find, like we found, some people can't, we could help you kind of channel that right through things like this. But it is important as we get older, our generation, that we amplify some of these stories and names of the forgotten, names of the dead, names of those who contributed.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. I really do.
That's kind of an ethos of kind of an old school New York, writer, I think, many of us.
Well, yeah, you pay respect to the people that came before you. That's a big thing in Kung Fu also. And yeah, that's definitely part of where I'm at. Is I respect the people that helped me, the people that came before me, and I respect the people that came after me too. It's about, you got to have respect for people.
True that. So
So,
with that said, my brother, I want to thank you so much on behalf of the museum, on behalf of everybody that joined us tonight. This was really special. I'm so glad you had the time and you got up very early in Thailand to join us.
like I said, it works out for me. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
So until we see each other stateside, my brother, you be safe. Take care of your family and stay blessed.
Okay. Take care, brother.